What up? It's your boy. My name is. I realize Battlefields is so fucking long, and I only ever care about Stage 3. So I'm just gonna go and start off with Stage 3. As you can see, start off with Goku Black, even though he ain't black. And you can see that my Extreme Fight team is so good, and I'm so confident that I actually bring a Cyberman. The Cyberman puts in hella work. He be in there 9 to 5, grinding that shit out. I really respect him. He's just like me. As a matter of fact, let me just say, to credit my work ethic, I recently had my first ever, as in this is my first job as well as the first time having this at my job, performance review, a yearly performance review. Got another raise, boy, got another raise, and I got a bonus. Now we ain't just dealing in raises. We dealing in bonuses as well, which is pretty cool because I feel like last year I did a lot of fucking work, and it's cool that my company at least recognized it. I mean, they were fucking. I mean, my manager was slurping me. He's like, "Yo, dude, look at this, look at this. You know what you're gonna get? You're not only gonna get a raise, which was a nice raise, my man. You're gonna get a nice $2,000 bonus." I'm like, whoa. That's some righteous money. That's some good money. He's like, there's good money, nothing wrong with it. So by the time I get that bonus, by the time I get that raise, I'll probably see maybe $10 from it. The federal government will get the other 1,800 or 1,900, whatever the fuck. But at least I'm doing all right. At least I'm doing good, and we are succeeding out here. Unfortunately, I must say I'm a little bit salty, just because of the fact that I was kind of having my hopes up at my company. I started as a quote-unquote test engineer, where the idea is that you start off doing more like QA-related shit. Look at this Cyberman. Look. Does he look like he gives a fuck? He doesn't care, stupid. I started off doing more QA-related stuff and writing tests and unit tests and some development. But what has happened for me and a lot of people on my job is that it's just full-on dev work. There's still some testing stuff, but, there's just too much shit not to do, so most people have become, developers and testers. For me, personally, I mean, there was a good couple months where I was develop McGee. Still do a large bit of development, and even when I do write certain testing, items, no matter what, like, usually use AWS or some type of framework where you have to write the code that goes along with the components to actually see that it works properly. So even if it's not like an actual production item, an actual like microservice or an actual item, it's still, you're pretty much still programming a certain degree, a lot more than just like typical QA, I'd say. I like it. I like my job, honestly. I'm really surprised that I like it this much, just because it's been over a year now, technically, a year and maybe 2 months. And I feel like my coworkers are nice. I feel like the company's nice. I'm surprised, honestly, how much I like the company, because when I first went there, I thought it was going to be kind of not a bad company, but I thought it was more so like a front-end company. It's a software as a service company. It deals with a website and web applications. So I'm thinking like, oh, this is just gonna be like front end work, maybe some back end, but it hasn't. I'm part of the platform as a service department, and it has an entire like business niche, providing platforms as a service, which I like a lot. It's a lot of back end work. It's all from a business perspective, it's interesting. So I was not expecting that when I came to my job, and I'm really happy that during my interview they asked me, they said, would you be more happy working in a front-end environment or working in a back-end environment? I said I'd rather do back-end because, for me personally, that seems more interesting and it's more valuable to me, I think, career-wise, because front-end shit, anyone can do that in terms of, like, you at home, you can pick up JavaScript, do it. It's not that hard to pick that up and pick up those concepts. There's a lot of concepts and items for front end work, and also front end work in general. People go to boot camps and then they get like a JavaScript job. It's not anything like, if I had to pick back end or front end, I'd pick back end. Full stack is cool too, but I think back end is more valuable in terms of learning things that I don't know about and basically getting used to that. And even with what I've worked on, you know, I've worked on Spring microservices, and that's one thing I developed a lot for. So even using that, like, it took a little bit of, not really front-end development. I mean, you used items in the front end, but for me it was mostly, you know, just REST requests, making sure the shit works, which I liked a lot. It was interesting. So I cannot complain. I cannot complain at all. Although recently at my job, people started getting salty. They started getting tight because our director, or I guess he's not, he's pretty much the vice president of fucking our department of technology, and he's like, yo, dude, yo, he sent out an email, big-ass email. He's like, yo, dude, just so you know, listen, because we use Slack. We use Slack for communication for our job and stuff. Some people use this, like Twitter, but for work. Like, you'll just go, there's like a random channel, you'll go there, these motherfuckers talking about Star Wars. I swear to God, I got so tight. I kept seeing a bunch of alerts and pop-ups. I click on it. These people are just talking about Star Wars legit for like 20 minutes. I'm just reading the post and like, yeah, you should. The thing is, even though Jar Jar Binks is very shilly, he's actually a key component for the Star Wars universe. Let me tell you why. And I'm like, whoa, it's too early. I'm doing too much work for me to fucking read this shit. And the vice president actually got super tight. He's like, listen, Slack is supposed to be for work-related things only. I don't want to see you selling your couch on Slack. I don't want to see you fucking trying to, you know, show references on Slack and memes and shit. And I'm like, oh no, he's cooking them. He's tight. And he's like, and one thing that got him super tight is that someone on Slack actually posted something that was quote-unquote like offensive. I didn't see it. It was like some South Park meme or something. By the way, moment of silence, let me just say, I am so happy that Zamasu is tech. That way I can bring the int stun squad. Get stunned, you piece of shit, Zamasu. Now, with that being said, someone posted a really offensive like meme, like with South Park or some shit, and someone saw it and was like, yo, we gotta send this to HR. They sent it to HR, and HR's like, whoa, you can't be posting this shit. And they got super tight, and they almost fucking like shut Slack down, like shut that shit down. And that's something I'm so happy at my job. Oh, I am so happy. I'm the most boring fucking, like, I never talk unless it's work related. I barely socialize. I mean, it's bad because when we have like social, quote unquote social events, and you're supposed to talk to each other, I don't really know anyone too well to talk about anything really. But the thing is, I don't even want to talk to people on my job just because it's a job. Like, real talk, like at your job, like there's no fucking pleasure there. Like, I don't want to have quote unquote fun. Like they have like a Switch set up. You can play Smash if you want. I'm like, no, I want to go there, do my 9 to 5, and go home. And it's for a couple reasons. One is because time, you know, I would rather spend more time working and less time at the office. That's, you know, kind of a given. And the second thing is, for me, I mean, for something I've noticed, and it seems true, is like from the corporate standards, you know, there's a bunch of bullshit because, you know, they're like, yeah, have fun, play, blah, blah. But then if you go and play and fuck around and waste too much time, they'll judge you based on, hey, yo, this guy got time for games, this guy got time for this. Look at this guy, no work ethic. So I don't want that to be a situation. I also don't ever want to be in a situation where I get too comfortable and I start cursing and fucking, I'm just going off the wall and they're like, you know, this guy, he said something very offensive. He was talking about eating ass, which, you know, I can't help it. You know, sometimes you got to just explain that you love eating booty. And they're like, yo, that shit. They go to HR and you're fucking fired, stupid. You're going to end up like that nigga from fucking Dragon Ball Z Funimation. You saw that nigga Vic Minosa, I think his name is? That man voiced Broly. Ooh, that nigga did something very unprofessional. That nigga acted normal in the work environment. I think he, like, got fired because he basically had like a sexual harassment claim where everyone's tight right now because they're like, allegedly he like hugged and like kissed someone on the cheek, which it sounds innocent, it doesn't sound terrible. I don't know if it's a fucking fireable offense. That's the thing. When you go to work, see, this is something white people don't know about. When you go to work, you there for the man. You do what the man want and what the man say. They don't. You think Funimation gives a fuck? If they even, like, if you went to court and this never happened, they don't give a fuck. As long as they make sure they cut all corners and make sure that they never get in any trouble, that they don't have to deal with the public. They're like, listen, we'll get some other fucking asshole to voice Broly. There's a million voice actors who fucking do them. We don't need you, stupid. Get the fuck out of here. Like, that's the whole point. Like, there's no reason whatsoever to be that comfortable in a work environment where you're hugging bitches and fucking, you know, like walking up to fucking people and, you know, actually being a human being. And it is kind of disheartening because if you watch the interview with him. He seems like a nice guy. He doesn't seem like an asshole. I actually felt bad because this is where I like this guy really, he's fucking, like, he's really depressed, and he's like, because this is what he said, something that I would have said if this happened to me. I swear to God, I would have fucking said the same thing. He goes, you know, I got fired, blah, 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 blah. But I got, you know, with situations like this, you just try to learn something. I have to get something out of this. I have to learn from this. And that, I'm no bullshit. Whenever I take a gigantic fucking L, I think to myself, I'm like, I'm like, first of all, how did this happen? Second of all, how do I make this not happen in the future? I guarantee you that wherever the fuck he works next, he could work at a fucking porno set as a porn actor. And as soon as they fucking cut the camera, he ain't touching no bitches, he ain't fucking slapping no ass, he ain't hugging nobody. He's like, fuck that, don't touch me, I won't touch you. I'm not trying to get fucking fired. And that's real talk, bro. You think that's some bullshit. In the corporate environment, they don't, like, they'll axe your ass over anything. You think they give a fuck? They're like, yo, this man is causing us trouble. And especially if you're a dude. Like, if a guy says, like, a girl harasses him, you better have some proof. Otherwise, they're going to be like, shut up, stupid. But if it's a girl who's like, you know, this guy, he's just so creepy. He's fucking always doing the Broly voice, touching me. They're like, all right, unfortunately, you're fired, stupid. Get the fuck out of here. So, sucks for him if he didn't actually do it. Also kind of sucks because that's the whole idea of, like, quote-unquote, what is work appropriate. Like, if he really just thought he was friends with her and, you know, gave her a hug or a kiss on the cheek, that's kind of, I don't know, I never fucking do that shit. That seems like you're overstepping your bounds. But I don't know if that's fire-worthy. I don't know if you're like, get the fuck out of here, you're fired. It probably isn't get the fuck out of here, you're fired. It's probably because she's like, yo, my mans, if you absolutely positively realize, and she probably told Funimation this, I'm going to hit you with a lawsuit real quick. And this shit is real legit. And Funimation's like, all right, well, unfortunately, we're going to have to go and call it quits on this bullshit because I ain't trying to catch no case. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the money. Like, that's all that matters, is that you are not costing the company money and that there's no bad image associated with it. I mean, and you know, even at my company recently, they basically had a whole thing of, you know, basically etiquette and, you know, don't post offensive shit, don't be an asshole, blah, blah. And they also added recently for tracking your internet usage, like not to use like certain sites, and they block certain shit just for security purposes. Because I think people in my company, like fucking scumbags, decided to like overstep their bounds and actually like steal some data for personal use. And the company's like, oh, well, unfortunately, now we gotta shut this shit down. So it's become a little bit more strict in my company. I don't mind. This is the thing, dude. I am fucking. This is what I legit every fucking day when I go to work. I go, I got a job. I get paid for this shit. Like, if my job became a hostile environment, it would suck. But at the end of the day, that paycheck is beautiful, and my job is not that bad at all. I mean, I have friends who have fucking. Like, their jobs aren't terrible, but I wouldn't want to be in their situation. One of my friends started working recently, and he has a pretty cool job. I think it was very interesting, but the people he works for are pieces of shit who absolutely don't appreciate what he's doing, where basically they're forcing him to travel to certain places that's like an hour away in different locations. And he just started, and he's like a fucking district manager of a fucking store, even though he's not getting that district manager pay, which, you know, hopefully maybe in like the year in review we'll get a bonus or something like that for putting an OT. But it's just annoying. I don't like the fact that, you know, I think he deserves more than what they're giving him, which right now is fucking not the best workplace environment. But his job sounds interesting. Like, his job actually seems pretty cool. It's just not the most ideal situation. My point being, I'm grateful for my fucking job. And my standards are so fucking low that, you know, they take away the Nintendo Switch, no more Smash. You think I give a fuck? Take away the fucking Slack, no more memes. You think I give a fuck? Take away my paycheck. Okay, now we got problems. You're going to take away my paycheck, we're going to have some issues. I'm sorry to say this, but we're going to have some fucking problems. But, yeah, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it really does come to, like, I don't know. I hate to say white privilege, but, you know, it's from a place of privilege. Like, motherfuckers really walk up to work and be like, yo, man, I need this, I need that. Like, they have certain things that they need. That's why at my job, like, honestly, if I wanted to be a complete piece of shit, I could be a lot more of a piece of garbage, where I'm like, yo, can't come in this gig, gotta work from home multiple times. Whereas with me, I try not to work from home a lot. I try to work from home only. I mean, I worked from home this week. No bullshit, because it snowed. Because what do you want me to do? Walk, drive there in the snow? See, that's the thing. I used to drive in the snow, and I'd go to the office and no one would be there. And like, why the fuck are you here? Like what? Like legit. I mean, if you're working from home, if everyone's working from home, there's no reason to show up. And I also commute, so I was like, listen, there's no fucking point. Like what I'm doing is almost pointless in the sense that, like, no one. First of all, no one is fucking saying, oh my god, he showed up. And second of all, everyone is saying, why the fuck are you here, stupid? Which is good, because, you know, it's a good work environment. They're like, hey, don't be a fucking idiot. But, you know, the whole idea of privilege, that's more of an exaggeration, really, because my job, the people are cool. They're not assholes. Although there are some people who did take a little bit of more privilege. By the way, hold up. Watch a Super Boo get my HP up. Give me the HP. Beautiful. That, just know, if it wasn't for the Super Boo, I would not be surviving in this fucking shit tier boss fight. But yeah, like I was saying, you know, people in my job, they're not terrible. It's just, it's the idea of people are just, I don't know, they've been in the industry longer than me. They have higher expectations. They have a lot more fucking, you know, higher or lower tolerance for bullshit. It's not like they're a bunch of snotty assholes. They're nice people. It's just funnier to think of everyone as a privileged piece of shit. What am I going to fucking sit here and say everyone's nice in my company? No. They're all scumbags for the point of entertainment. But no, I can't complain. Pretty much everyone in my company is nice. And there's been a couple people who ended up getting fired because they started dipping into that fucking privileged way of life a little bit too much. Like some dude, legit, this dude never fucking came to work. There's people who work at my job who are remote. That's where you're like remote at your house like 85% of the time or more. And this dude, I swear to God, I never met him. I heard him referenced multiple times. Like people would talk about him, and they'd say, "Hey, do you know where this guy is?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, he's working from home." And I'm thinking like, is this motherfucker remote? Like I don't get it. And he wasn't remote. He just wanted to work from home. And that's the thing with my company. Like they're really lax. Like say if I wanted to work from home Monday, I could email that day and say, "Hey, I'm not feeling too great. I want to work from home." You can, or if you need to take a sick day, that's a given in most companies. But the point is, if you wanted to be a piece of shit, you could be a piece of shit. And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to ever overstep my bounds. Like, if you have to be told not to do something, you've already exceeded your bounds. Like, even for me, like, sometimes when I'm driving there in the morning and it's shitty fucking commute, I'll end up coming late. Like, this year, I think I've gone to my job late more than 5 minutes once or twice, which was really shit because both times was a fucking car accident. Dude, sometimes I'm driving on the fucking highway and I just see a fucking 4-car wreck. And I'm like, where did this come from? How am I here at this point to perfectly run into this shit? But the point I'm trying to make is that I was late twice where I had to email my squad and be like, yo, man, I'll be like 5-10 minutes late, my bad. Which, you know, is not necessarily excessive, and they understand I commute, so it's not like a cardinal sin. But at the same time, if I'm fucking getting up late, I go to work a half hour late because I know, oh, you know, they don't care. I'll go late today. Oh, I'll sleep in. It's like, what am I, a fucking asshole? Like, what am I really taking advantage of, you know, kind of their professionalism and kind of kindness? It ends up biting you in the ass, whether it is, you know, you actually get fired or you end up becoming a type of person who now all of a sudden you have higher standards. You know, for example, at my job, one thing that if I went to another job, I would be like, oh, fuck, I'm actually going to miss out on this, is that they have a very lax work from home policy. They have a pretty lax stay the fuck out of work policy. Even a couple times, like, I put, like, hours, you get hours of vacation. And there's been times I wanted to take a half day, and then my manager was like, who gives a shit? Just fucking don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about this half day, just take it. And I'm like, ooh, fuck. So if I ever go to another job that's more strict, and that's what I've heard from a lot of these guys. They're like, yo, dude, you don't know how good this job is. You don't know how fucking good this job is. I'm telling you right now, everything else, shit. This job, great. And I'm like, fuck, these guys are loving this place. So I don't have much to complain. Even recently with this whole idea of, you know, being more professional in the office. I know it bothered some people, but for me it was whatever. And like I said, it ain't no bullshit, bro. Once you get a job, you better be real fucking professional. You better come fucking correct. Otherwise, you're going to end up getting the boot. And just because you think something's alright, like, that's the thing. Just because you think it's alright, you should never be in a position where you owe some type of fucking burden or debt. Think about this guy, Vic Mignogna, or Mignogna, the dude who voices Broly, right? he got in trouble, quote unquote, for hugging and like kissing his co-star or whatever, the voice of Bulma, right? You think that's the first time he did that? I don't think so. I think he's done that multiple times in the past. Maybe to other people, or maybe her. I don't know if it was the first time. Because I find it hard to believe that the first time ever he kisses her on the cheek or hugs her and she says, hey, you know, if you could, please don't do that. And then she goes and reports him. Or she just says nothing and reports him. It's possible. You never know. She just felt uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. And she just decided to go report him. Either way, that's probably not the first time he did that. And the thing is, like, you should never, when you're in a workplace or anything in life, really, you should never be in a position where you're hoping that people are going to treat you the right way and hoping that there's some type of justice. Because there's no fucking justice unless you make fucking justice. That's why I don't, at my job, I go in, I usually go in at 10. I usually leave, like, around 6:30, 6:15. Technically, on my job, they want you to stay for, like, 9 hours, technically, because they give you an hour lunch. 9 times out of 10, I eat a 10-minute, 15-minute lunch, so I stay there literally working for like 8 hours, 15 minutes, 8 hours, 20 minutes. I'd rather have that than ever go home early one day, and then all of a sudden someone, tries to catch me or be like, hey, look at this guy leaving early. Hey, what the fuck? You never want to be in that opportunity where you look bad, or that opportunity where all of a sudden you're an asshole and you owe some type of fucking dues. You know what I mean? If my job ever came up to me, they're like, yo, what time you leave? It's like, you don't want to know what time I leave, because if you know what time I leave, you're going to have to pay me overtime, my boy. Don't worry about it. Keep going. So, for me, it's always do the best job possible. Be as professional as possible. And don't ever have any moment in your life, if possible, where you owe something, where you have something that you now are indebted to someone else, because this shit's like prison. You fucking take, this is something that, if you ever heard of a comedian named Patrice O'Neal, I always liked his opinion on this, where he's like, this shit, business relations and things in general is like prison. You take a fucking candy bar and you say thank you, and then all of a sudden they come back to collect and they say, you know what, I want my candy bar back, and I also want some fucking chocolate milk, and I also want this, and I also want that, and if you don't give me what I am owed with that interest, you're going to get a fucking pummeling. So it's really something to keep in mind, that at the end of the day, not everyone is going to be nice to you. At the end of the day, rules that you think are alright may change. And at the end of the day, even if you voice Broly, you can get fucking replaced. Rest in peace to that man Vic. And it seems like most Dragon Ball Z fans are on his side and not on Bulma's side. It's hard to say who's right and who's wrong. It's a touchy situation, but at the end of the day, like I said, I ain't hugging no bitches, I ain't kissing no one. I haven't shooken anyone's hand, so at the end of the day, you cannot find my DNA at my job. As far as I'm concerned, I never fucking worked there.